Hello, my name is Ezekiel Oburu. I'm an orthopedic surgeon at the University of Nairobi, and I would like to talk to you about a new podcast. When I was in medical school many years ago, I think I finished my medical school in 1998. Orthopedics was one of the subjects that were taught, and we were actually taught first in our fourth year and then in our sixth year. Now, one of the things that I did notice is when we went for orthopedic rotation, specifically our ward rounds, the amount of orthopedics that we had to know, it was a vast amount. And I wasn't quite sure how much as a medical student I was supposed to know. So I could go for the ward round and the professor could mention something and ask who had heard about it, or the professor could ask, what's this condition? And he could ask, what's this other condition? And I did not know most of the things. I panicked, I felt intimidated, and I really wondered whether I could ever pass, I could ever become a doctor, and I could ever know this stuff. So, fast forward, after many years of undergraduate and postgraduate training and a number of fellowships, I probably thought that undergraduate orthopedics should be taught slightly differently. I usually give this example to my medical students, that if you read The Animal Farm, which is a very good book by George Orwell, there is a part where the pigs were trying to convince the animals, and they said that two leg bad, that is the humans were bad, and four legs good, that the animals were good. And I tell them that, look here, the same thing, big book bad and small book good. And that really applies for many of the disciplines for an undergraduate. I'm not saying that all big books are bad, but really an undergraduate should not spend a lot of time reading the massive books because they don't have the time. And I think also it's unnecessary. What they should do is to become safe. So I thought, how can I teach undergraduates better? And I've been trying to do this before I started the podcast, where I talk about various topics in orthopedics. So I can talk about supracondylar fractures in 5 minutes, or ankle fractures in 5 minutes, or fractures involving the region about the hip in about 10 minutes. And I tell them that these are the core things that you need to know. Obviously, I tell them that they need to revise, but this is a guideline, because when they go and they read, an ebook that's massive, so many pages of PDF, they don't know where to start and where to stop. So I came up with this plan. I said, look here, I would love to teach an undergraduate, I'd like to teach undergraduates how to go about studying orthopedics. But obviously, my sphere of influence is limited. So I said, how can I increase my sphere of influence? And I decided to come up with a podcast. This is known as OrthoTutorials. I am doing this podcast, and we've recorded a number of episodes, myself and one of my colleagues. She's called Dr. Thitai. The aim of OrthoTutorials is to try and simplify orthopedics. This podcast is primarily geared towards undergraduates and medical officers. Obviously, some postgraduates may benefit, but the primary target is undergraduates and medical officers, to simplify orthopedics, to tell you the facts or the things that really you should know, and this will make you safe as a medical officer or an undergraduate. The more complex things you can refer, but these are the basics. And even in knowing the basics, it's not necessarily that you're going to manage them with the basics, but you can identify a problem and say, this is really beyond the scope of my abilities, and I should refer this. So this podcast is known as OrthoTutorials, and you can get it in various platforms. You can get it in Spotify, you can get it in Apple Podcasts, you can get it in Google Podcasts, you can get it in Anchor. So a number of platforms already have this. We have quite a number of episodes that are already running, and you can actually look at wherever you listen to your podcast to see if you'll be able to get the various episodes. Really, orthopedics made simple for both undergraduates and for medical officers. Together with this, we have also put an Instagram page for OrthoTutorials. In the Instagram page, one of the things that you will see is any new episodes that may be coming, or various questions that you may be asked in your exam, or multiple choice questions, or even various things or various clinical signs that you may be required to know. So thank you very much. Please go and listen to OrthoTutorials and spread the word around to your colleagues. Thank you very much.